Jai Hind everyone. I am Anuradha Dhumale from Computer Science and Engineering Department, Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. Today my subject is software engineering and our topic is requirement engineering process. So, what is requirement engineering? First of all, requirement engineering is the process of identifying, eliciting, analyzing, specifying, validating and managing the needs and expectations of the software. A systematic and strict approach to the definition, creation and verification of requirements for a software system is known as requirement engineering. To guarantee the effective creation of a software product, the requirement engineering process entails several tasks that helps in understanding, recording and managing the demands of stakeholders for a software system. So, in requirement engineering process, there are various phases, or we can say that there is a various steps for the requirement engineering process. The first one is the feasibility study. We need to check that our software is feasible or not. Second is the requirement elicitation. We need to gather the various types of requirements. For this, there are various types of techniques we used here for the requirement elicitation. Third is the requirement specification. Fourth is the requirement verification, requirements for verification and validation. And fifth is the requirement management. So, this is the model, or we can say that the framework of requirement engineering process. Here, feasibility study, in which we can make the feasibility report. We can check the various types of feasibility. Our software is feasible or not by cost. Here we check the cost feasibility, technical feasibility, legal feasibility. Various types of feasibility are there. We can see in our next slide. Then the requirement elicitations and analyze. For these, we gather the various types of requirements, in which we use the various types of system models like data models, DFD models, ER models. Okay. After that, requirement specification. In requirement specification, we check the user requirements and the system requirement. We check that our users, what is the requirements of our users, our system, what is the requirement for the software, means that system is working properly or not, what is the requirement of the system. Requirement validation, and after that last we document the all thing. For these, we can say that requirement of documentation. The first is the feasibility study. So, when we are developing a system, we know the way the proposed system will be feasible or not, practically implementable or not. If we are making some software, for this software, first we need to analyze for that software, we need to test, means we need to check the feasibility of that software. It may be, means it is possible for making the software or not. When we are developing a system, we know whether proposed system will be feasible or not. It may be possible that the proposed system may not be implementable due to many reasons. Like it may take the long time in development than the specified time limit. We set some time limit for the particular software, but it is taking the long time for the making that for the implementation of that software. So, we check here ki software is feasible or time feasible or not. Cost may be increased than the proposed. We estimate some cost for the particular software, but it may take the most cost increased. There may be several types of feasibility depending on the aspects they cover. Some of them are, there are various types of feasibility we check while making the software. The first one is the technical feasibility, operational feasibility. Third is the economic feasibility, legal feasibility and the schedule feasibility. So, first of all, we see what is the technical feasibility. In technical feasibility, current resources, both hardware and software, along required technologies are analyzed. In technical feasibility, what we are testing here, we are checking here that we are currently using the hardware and the software are along with the particular technologies are analyzed, assessed to develop the project. This technical feasibility study reports whether there are correct required resources and technology that will be used for project development. Feasibility study also analyze the technical skills and capabilities of the technical team. Feasibility study here is used for to check the skill of the team members, the capabilities of the team here, whether existing technology can be used or not, whether maintenance and upgradations are easy or not for the chosen technology. Operational feasibility, in operational feasibility, we are testing here which type of services we are providing through the software. In operational feasibility, degree of providing services to requirement in analyze, along with how easy the product will be operate and maintain after the deployment. Along with these other operational scopes are determining the usability of the product, determining suggested solution by the software development team is acceptable or not. Third is the economic feasibility. In economic feasibility, here we study about the benefit and the cost of the software. In the economic feasibility, study and the study of cost and benefit of the projects are analyzed. This means under this feasibility study, a detailed analysis is carried out. Will be cost of the project for development, which include all required cost for final development hardware and software resource required, design and development cost, operational cost, etc. After that, it is analyzed whether the project will be beneficial in terms of finance for the organization or not. After that, we check for the check the feasibility for the legalness. In legal feasibility, the project is ensured to comply with all relevant laws. While making the software, it is very important to keep in mind or to keep the goal that with all relevant laws, with all the rules and regulations will be used and the standards will be used. With the help of various types of standards for use, the organization software is made. The project and reviews existing contracts and agreement to assess their effects on the project's execution. Additionally, legal feasibility consider issues related to intellectual properties such as patents and copyrights to safeguard the projects and innovations, the originality. Schedule feasibility. In schedule feasibility, the project timeline is evaluated to determine if it is realistic and achievable. Significant milestones are identified and deadlines are established to track progress effectively. Resource availability is assessed to ensure that the necessary resources are accessible to meet the project schedule. So, here we see the various types of feasibility like the cost feasibility, schedule feasibility, operational feasibility, technical feasibility, legal feasibility. Okay, after that the requirement elicitation. Now, what is the requirement elicitation? Requirement elicitation is the word which is used for gathering the requirement. For gathering the requirement, we used here the various techniques like interviews, protocols, prototypes, observations, focus groups. These are the various techniques which we are used for the requirement elicitation. Elicitation is nothing but the gathering of requirements. Requirements elicitation is the process of gathering informations about the needs and expectations of the stakeholders for the software system. This is the first step in the requirements engineering process, and it is critical to the success of the software development project. The goal of this step to understand the problems. Why we are gathering the various types of informations here? For understanding the problems that the software system is intended, that the software system which we are implemented is the solution for that problems, to solve the needs and expectations of the stakeholders who will use the system. Several techniques can be used to elicit requirements, elicitations. Here we are using the various techniques, like first is interview. These are one-to-one conversations with stakeholders to gather informations about their needs and the customer's expectations. Surveys. These are questionnaires that are distributed to stakeholders to gather information about their needs and expectations. Third is the focus group. These are small groups of stakeholders who are brought together to discuss their needs and expectations. This is the small groups of stakeholders who are brought together to discuss about the roles, who discuss about the needs and expectations of the software system. After that, observation. In observation, with the help of observation, what we do, this technique involves observing the stakeholders in their work environment to gather information about their needs and the expectation. Prototyping, this technique involves creating a working model of the software system. Here, one type of dummy model is created which can be used to gather feedback from the stakeholders and to validate the requirements. In this prototyping, we made a dummy model of software, and it is customer and taking feedback from the customer and make the original one, which can be used to gather the feedback from the stakeholders and to validate the requirements. It's important to document, organize and prioritize the requirements obtained from all these techniques to ensure that they are complete, consistent and accurate. Requirement specification. What is requirement specification? This activity is used to produce formal software requirement model. During the specification, more knowledge about problems may be required, which can again trigger the elicitation process. The models used this stage include the entity relationship diagrams, data flow diagrams, functional decomposition diagram and data dictionary. Requirement specification is the process of documenting the requirement. In requirement specifications, we document the all type of requirement which we gather from the customers. Okay, identified in the analysis step in a clear, consistent and unambiguous manner. This step also involves prioritizing the grouping requirements into the manageable chunks. The goal of this step is to create a clear and comprehensive document that describe the requirements for the software system. This document should be understandable. Which type of document we are making document here of requirements? The document should be understandable by both the development team and the stakeholders. Several types of requirements are commonly specified. First is the functional requirement, second is the non-functional requirement. In functional requirement, we can say that functional requirement describes what we are doing, and non-functional requirement is the characteristics of the things. This describes what the software system should do. They specify the functionality of the system must provide, such as input validation, data storage and user interface. This is the originally what the software is do. Non-functional requirement describes how well the software system should do it. It is what the software system should do. Functional requirement is the what the software system should do, and non-functional requirement how well the software system should do it. They specify the quality attributes of the system such as performance, reliability, usability and security. Constraint, this describes any limitations or restrictions that must be considered when developing the software. Acceptance criteria, this describes the conditions that must be met for the software system to be considered complete and ready for release. The next step is the next phase of the requirement engineering process is the requirement verifications and the validation. What is verification? It refers to the set of tasks that ensure that the software correctly implements a specific function, and validation, it refers to a different set of tasks that ensures that the software has been built is traceable to customer requirement. If the requirements are not validated, errors in the requirement definitions would be propagated to the successive stage, resulting in the lot of modifications and rework. The main steps for requirement specification is include the requirements should be consistent with all the other requirements. No two requirements should conflict with each other. The requirement should be consistent. The individual requirement which we collect from the customer should be individual, should be consistent, and no conflict will be there. The requirement should be complete in every sense. The second thing is the requirement should be complete. The third, the requirement should be partially achievable. Means if we gather the requirement from the customer and we cannot fulfill that requirement, then it is not manageable. The requirement should be practically achievable. Verification is the checking that requirements are complete, consistent and accurate. It involves the reviewing the requirements to ensure that they are clear, testable and free of errors and inconsistencies. This can include reviewing the requirements document, models and diagrams, and holding meetings and walkthrough with the software. Now validation. What is validation? In detail, if we are seeing the validation is the process of checking that the requirement meets the need and expectation of the stakeholder. In validation, the requirement should meet the needs and expectations of the stakeholder. It involves testing the requirements to ensure that they are valid and that the software system being developed will meet the needs of the stakeholder. This can include testing the software system through simulation, testing with prototype and testing with the final version of the software. Requirement management. Requirement management is the process of managing the requirements throughout the software development life cycle, including tracking and controlling the changes. If customer gives some feedback, in that feedback he told us that we need to change the requirement, we need to do some modifications, then that tracking and changing should be available at that time. The goal of requirement management is to ensure that the software system being developed meets the needs of the expectation of stakeholder and that it is developed on time, with budget and to the required quality. If we are delivering some project, some software to the customer, then it will be in time, it will be in budget and the required quality will be there in the software. Now, advantages of requirement engineering process. Helps to ensure that the software being developed meets the needs and the expectation of the stakeholder. Second is the can help identify potential issues or problems early in the development, helps to ensure that the software is developed in cost effective and efficient manner. Fourth is the can improve communication and collaboration between the development team and stakeholder. Thank you.